World number 1 Sabalenka dumped out of Qatar Open. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka suffered a shock defeat in the second round of the Qatar Open on Tuesday. The Belarusian was thwarted by Russian Ekaterina Alexandrova 3-6, 6-3, 7-6, 7/5, in a tense encounter lasting over 2.5 hours. This was Sabalenka's first match since losing the Australian Open final in 3 sets to Madison Keys in January. Alexandrova has turned up in Doha in good form after claiming her 5th WTA title in Linz last week. The 26th-ranked Alexandrova picked herself up after going 1 set down to level in the second, but not before an unscheduled appearance by an inquisitive 4-legged feline spectator. With the score at 2-2, 40-30 to Sabalenka, a cat nonchalantly took center stage, inspecting proceedings courtside before sauntering off via the player's entrance. World number 1 Sabalenka dumped out of Qatar Open. AFP by AFP. Published on February 12, 2025, 10:54 ET. World number 1 Sabalenka dumped out of Qatar Open. Belarus's Aryna Sabalenka reacts after winning a point against China's Zheng Qinwen during their women's singles final match at the Linz Open tennis tournament in Linz, China's Hubei province on October 13, 2024. Photo by Dorian/AFP. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka suffered a shock defeat in the second round of the Qatar Open on Tuesday. The Belarusian was thwarted by Russian Ekaterina Alexandrova 3-6, 6-3, 7-6, 7/5, in a tense encounter lasting over 2.5 hours. This was Sabalenka's first match since losing the Australian Open final in 3 sets to Madison Keys in January. Also read. Ruth Chepngetic leads elite field at the ADP Lisbon Half Marathon. Everton's Moyes aims to bridge gap to mighty Liverpool. Demville stars again as PSG beat Brest in Champions League playoff first leg. Alexandrova has turned up in Doha in good form after claiming her 5th WTA title in Linz last week. The 26th-ranked Alexandrova picked herself up after going 1 set down to level in the second, but not before an unscheduled appearance by an inquisitive 4-legged feline spectator. With the score at 2-2, 40-30 to Sabalenka, a cat nonchalantly took center stage, inspecting proceedings courtside before sauntering off via the player's entrance. Pause it in mute. Full screen. Alexandrova shrugged off the interruption to level the match, then held her nerve to force the deciding set to a tiebreak, which she took 7-5. Sabalenka was back competing at the Qatar Open for the first time since 2022, having won the 2020 title in what is the first WTA 1000 event of the season. Alexandrova's reward was a last 16 date with Belgian Elise Mertens. Also dumped out was Coco Gauff, who lost in straight sets to Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk. Former U.S. Open champion, Gauff blew a healthy advantage in the second set as Kostyuk sealed a 6-2, 7-5 victory and a third-round meeting with Poland's Magdalena. Coco is an incredible fighter, Kostyuk said. We always have incredible matches. I tried to stick to what I had to do. Gauff, playing for the first time since a quarterfinal loss to Paula Badosa at the Australian Open, served 7 double faults and made 39 unforced errors in an erratic display. The American made a terrible start, slipping 4-1 behind after dropping her serve twice. Gauff was broken again in the 8th game as Kostyuk secured the first set in just half an hour. The world number 3 hit back with a break and rout to a 4-2 lead in the second set as she started to find her rhythm. But Kostyuk battled back, taking advantage of an error-strewn Gauff performance which ended when she served 2 double faults to be broken for the 5th time. Former Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina eased into the last 16. Rybakina, who lost to eventual winner Belinda Bencic in the Abu Dhabi semifinals last week, saw off Peyton Stearns in her opening match. The 5th seed cruised to a 6-2, 6-4 win, despite a late wobble to set up a third-round tie against Slovakia's Rebeka, who beat Russian teenager Mira Andreeva 3-6, 6-3, 7-5. Rybakina led 5-0 in the second set, but missed 3 match points to take it 6-0, and then briefly fell apart as Stearns dragged the set back on serve. She belatedly got over the line on her 5th match point. Chinese 7th seed Zheng Qinwen joined Gauff in crashing out, though, beaten 6-4, 6-2 by Jabeur. Three-time Grand Slam finalist Jabeur claimed her first win against a top 10 opponent since last year's Madrid Open after struggling with injury. The Tunisian will next face 2020 Australian Open champion Sofia Kenin. Jasmine Paolini, last year's French Open and Wimbledon runner-up, also made a winning start to her campaign with a 6-3, 6-4 victory against Caroline Garcia in the second round.